This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Lost in a 5-1 loss this evening is, of course, the good old second period intermission entertainment in what is the opening game of Hockey Night in Canada, the 5 p.m. game. Whether you were watching Leafs Sens or Oilers Canadiens, what you would have caught in that second period intermission with Chris Johnston and, of course, Elliotte Friedman is a tidbit on Jimmy Howard, who we've all been talking about for what now, about 24, 48 hours, however you want to look at it, in the simple fact that, well, the Oilers were maybe keen on getting Jimmy Howard out of the States, get him up here north, and get him into a backup role here before Mike Smith returns from injury. However, Elliotte Friedman on Saturday night headlines on Sportsnet and CBC, if you even consider that they have NHL coverage, reported quickly, Hockey Night in Canada, that's the word I'm looking for, reported that Jimmy Howard said no to Ken Holland. I mean, not shocking. We have not heard anything about Jimmy Howard other than the fact that, oh, well, Ken Holland knows him, so that's why the Oilers should get him. That's legitimately the only link that actually made sense as to why Jimmy Howard could become an Edmonton Oiler. However, Jimmy Howard has things going well in life. You know what? Better than a lot of people probably have it going right now. He's coaching his kids' hockey team, right? For a lot of Canadians, that's better than most of us. I imagine anybody who's a parent of a kid that's on a hockey team and coaching them, here in Alberta especially, would kill to be coaching their kid in hockey right now. Jimmy Howard, he's down there in the States living that life, so good on him. And why give that up to come to Edmonton and be a backup, right? I guess that's the thing. And realistically, right, Jimmy Howard would then become probably the third string goalie once Mike Smith gets back, and you can throw whatever mud at the wall you want to stick about how bad the Oilers were tonight or bad in that first game or whatever. Whatever you want to say why Jimmy Howard shouldn't be an Oiler because the Oilers are bad. That's such a sorry, lame excuse. It's not even funny. Because straight up, Jimmy Howard is so bad, he shouldn't be an Oiler. Over the course of his career, Jimmy Howard's been fine. No problem. Yeah, you know what? Great player over the course of his career. However, the last few years, followed up by what happened last year in Detroit, yeah, you can't sit here and say he was a good goalie. You know what? Anyone that's sitting here, well, Jimmy Howard would be a better goalie than Mike Smith. Mike Smith's save percentage was just about only 90%. Jimmy Howard's was 88.2 with a 4.2 goals against average. So Jimmy Howard, in no shape or form or which way you want to cut it, was going to be a solution for the Edmonton Oilers in net. And thankfully for him, you know what? Life takes precedent, and he's quite enjoying what he's doing and saves us the headache of having to watch him in net. Not saying that he couldn't turn out good, but if that's the kind of goaltender we're getting and we're all freaking out that Mikko Koskinen is so terrible, we need to get rid of him. My goodness, how can we think Koskinen's a starter, especially after tonight? And you want Jimmy Howard? Again, guys, I am so confused by the majority opinion of Oilers fans that I see online. It just astounds me every night. Something more ridiculous than the next seems to come out. And I mean, you want to talk about why I get bogged down and don't produce like I normally do at certain points of a month, because straight up, is just seeing the nonsense I see online sometimes. It takes a personal toll. And I mean, as the guy that interprets it for you, try being that guy that interprets and then puts it in word and thought for you every single day. So Jimmy Howard, not an Oiler, going to retire instead. Count me very glad. Count me much happier than if Jimmy Howard would have ever become an Edmonton Oiler, because the last thing I need to see is another ex-Detroit Red Wing from Ken Holland's years becoming an Oiler. Everybody said here, oh, this is such a good move for the Oilers. And then 2 games in, after Howard surrendered 4.5 goals over those 2 games, per goals against average, so 9 goals total in 2 games, just crying about how terrible of a signing it was, right? Athanasiou, count that right there. And I mean, I was right excited about Athanasiou too, but at some point doing the same old thing and beating your head off a concrete wall gets old, and that's exactly what it would have been if we would have signed Jimmy Howard. So thankfully, good, done, dusted, and that's all we need to know on that file. It's taken care of, and hopefully I don't have to hear the name Jimmy Howard associated with the Edmonton Oilers anymore. And Jimmy, if you're watching, this is nothing personal. This is just, I don't want to deal with the backlash of having to deal with the potential of seeing the last season repeat itself now here in Edmonton. Sorry, man. But, right, you want to talk about getting weighed down when the Oilers lose. That's what I generally do. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and it does personally hurt when the Oilers lose. I know everybody else is coming from a place of hurt when the Oilers lose too, but straight up being the dumping ground for it and then having to also interpret my feelings without using swear words, without yelling about some player being an idiot or something, right? Or just having to interpret it as cleanly and as broadcast quality as possible, that's tough for a fan that wears his heart on his sleeve 99% of the time. So, you know what, at the end of the day, what am I sitting here doing? I'm going to sit here and not worry too much about the rest of things tonight. I'm going to kick back. I'm going to enjoy some NHL 21. That'll probably turn out just as well as that Oilers game for me. You think I know as much about hockey as I do, I'd be able to translate something into NHL 21. I am about probably the worst online player I know, and the only way I get away with things is because the meta is the bigger you are, the better you are, and the way you go. But anyway, back to Jimmy Howard for a few minutes here, is the fact that this was a silly rumor in my opinion to begin with. And yes, we know Ken Holland checked in. That's what Elliotte Friedman confirmed for us on Saturday Night Headlines. But at the end of the day, just because you check in on a guy doesn't even mean there's actual interest. It's gauging interest, right, from the player himself. And you know what Jimmy Howard's interest ended up being? Nah, I like my kids. I like my hockey team I'm coaching. That's enough for me. I'm going to call it good and I'm going to stay home. And for Jimmy Howard, right, honestly, Mike Smith will be back pretty much within Jimmy Howard. If he would have signed, Mike Smith would have been back within 5 days, 10 days of Jimmy Howard becoming an Oiler, and he might have gotten one start out of all that. And don't forget, my friends, check this out too. Cap friendly. This is where we all forget that the Edmonton Oilers, as it currently stands, have 48 out of 50 contracts this season signed. Yeah, that's it. 48 out of 50. We have room for 2 more players, and trust me, if anything else goes awry, we're going to really need to sign some guys or get rid of some guys. So that's where, you know what, we don't have much room to operate. We didn't have much room to operate last year, and this year especially, we don't have room to operate either. So now, well, we sit here and we find out what's next. Ooh. Excuse that. That's some chicken wings coming up. My goodness, those were good. But anyway, that's it. That's all. We figure out what's next. We have a day to debrief tomorrow. We'll go through all the headlines and stuff. It's a cement mixer of a season. And trust me, you can never get too high or too low. And you saw me get low in the last one. Now I'm sitting here smiling. Welcome to being Tyson. I'm up on out of here.